Jared with Capo Building Specialties here, and today I want to go over why you might want to get a gas insert to replace your existing wood-burning fireplace. So first of all, what is a gas insert? How does it work? Basically, it's going to be a mini direct vent fireplace that slides into your existing wood-burning fireplace. That's the key. It has to be a wood-burning fireplace. You can't put these in, B-vent or other direct vent gas-burning appliances. But there's three main components. You got the actual fireplace itself, just a mini fireplace. You're going to have a screen front, which is just a fancy word for the frame for the screen. And then you have a surround. So the screen frame is required because on these newer gas inserts, the temperature of the glass is so high, anywhere from 400 to 500 degrees. That's your main heating component. That's what's going to be radiating the heat into the house. And then, your surround piece covers the gap. So by definition, the insert's going to be smaller than your existing fireplace just so it can fit in there, so it can slide in. So there'll always be a gap. And the surround, the trim piece, is going to cover that gap. Most manufacturers give you, small, medium, large sizes, but there's also custom options available through third parties or through just the manufacturers themselves. How do these gas inserts work and why are they better than an open-faced wood-burning fireplace? Well, think about it. Your open-faced wood-burning fireplace is open to the room. So when it's, when you're using it, fire needs oxygen. So it's going to consume the oxygen from the room to feed that fire. Most of the heat is going to go up and out the chimney. But the big downside is, as you're consuming that oxygen for the fire, it's got to get it from somewhere, right? So you're creating a little bit of heat, but you're also pulling air into the house via cracks, or if it's a kind of a breezy house, or even just your kitchen hood, any kind of penetrations, openings to the outside, it's going to pull air into the house. So yes, you're creating some heat, but then you're also pulling in cold air from outside. So that's, you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. These are the exact opposite. They're sealed. They have a glass front, and then there's a gasket around it. There's two flex flues, and they run all the way to the top of your chimney. So now you're going to be pulling air from outside. One's an exhaust, one's an intake. So when you turn it on, the exhaust goes up one tube, creates a vacuum, and now you're pulling air down the other tube from outside. So you're not robbing already warmed air from your house to feed this fire. It's going to radiate all that heat off the glass into the room, and then most of these inserts will have blowers. I'm not going to go into brands, really, just the concept of how they work. But you'll have, for most of these units, you'll have a blower that can blow the heat off the top of the insert out into the room if you need extra heat. So big advantage over open-faced fireplace. Even wood-burning stoves, they're usually using room air as well. Your pellet stoves, a lot of them they'll have another outside air kit that's pulling air from outside. So I would say, pellet stove's it's gonna be a little more efficient than some of the wood-burning stoves. Just depends on, the brands and all that stuff. The other big pro with the gas inserts is gonna be the ease of use. So when you compare them against a pellet stove or a wood burning stove, where you're going to schlep, that wood in, the pellets, those bags of pellets can get quite heavy. You also got to store them somewhere. They got to, keep them dry. The gas inserts, they're either going to have a switch on the actual insert, or most of them nowadays have remote controls, because you can control, the heat by controlling the flame height. You have blowers, you have thermostats, some of them have lighting systems. I mean, you can't do that from a wall switch, so most of the newer ones are going to have a remote control. But they're very easy to use. You hit a button, they come on, basically. Other pros going to be maintenance. So all you really need to do as a homeowner with these gas inserts is take off the glass, clean it. The biggest problem, I guess, would be, when you first turn them on, since they're sealed, they will condensate a little bit inside the insert. You'll get water spots on your glass. So, normal usage, usually people will just take that glass off once every 6 months to a year, wipe it down with some non-ammonia glass cleaner, and you're good to go. When you compare that to, wood burning inserts, stoves, pellet stoves, etc. Pellet stoves, you got to scrape the burner, clean the glass. Same thing, with wood burning stoves, glass gets really dirty usually. And now you got ash to deal with on the pellet stove or the wood burning fireplace. The other big thing would be with the wood stoves is going to be, you have to have that chimney swept. You got to follow the manufacturer's recommendations. Most of them want you to sweep it once a year. We're out here in the Bay Area, California, and chimney sweeps out here are charging usually anywhere from $250 to $350. So that's a reoccurring cost you're always going to run into. You don't have any of that with these gas products because they burn so cleanly. You're not going to have any need to have it swept anymore. Other big thing is, I think I hinted on before, was just storage. So if you have wood burning fireplace or pellet stoves, you're going to need to store that somewhere. And just ease of use. As we get older, we don't want to be carrying in heavy logs, pellet bags that weigh 40 to 50 pounds, loading. You could be loading these things all throughout the night. So a big advantage there will go to your gas insert. When you compare these to your HVAC units in your house, where these really shine, it's going to be if the insert is going to be located in the place where you congregate the most in the home. So if you go use your HVAC system, there's mini split systems and all this other stuff, but most homes, you go to your HVAC system, you turn it on, it heats the whole house. And the newer units are probably going to consume 60 to 80,000 BTUs. Older homes, you're probably going to be in excess of 100,000 BTUs. A small gas insert can usually easily heat 1,000 square feet as long as you have decent insulation and windows. And the inserts use way less gas, so usually you're going to see them anywhere between 20 to 40,000 BTUs on the high end. So if that's the case, where this gas insert is going to go into the family room, and you got a kitchen off adjacent to it, that's where you spend all your time. Why burn all that extra gas when you can burn a third of it? And the gas inserts look prettier. Another pro is going to be drafting issues. So mostly this affects wood burning stoves and inserts, but sometimes depending on the construction of the house and the design, it can be a pain to get those things drafting correctly. You might get some smoke in the house. That can happen with pellet stoves too, not so much, but you don't have to worry about any of that with the gas inserts. Another good thing about these is battery backup. This is not going to be an issue with wood burning stoves, obviously. Pellet stoves, yes, most of them need 120 volts to run their systems. If the power goes out with the gas insert, most of these have battery backup. You pop in 3 or 4 AA batteries, and you'll get your flame. You won't be able to have your fan work or the optional lighting systems, but you'll have the flame, and that's your main heating component. So when you think about that, if there's a natural disaster or storm comes through, you lose power, it's probably when you need, if you live in a colder area, it's probably when you need your fireplace the most. So you're going to have the option just to run this thing off of some small batteries. Another thing that people like, out here in California, we're in the Bay Area, even if you have a pellet stove or a wood burning stove, it seems like every day it's cold, it's a no burn day. So they don't want you, you can get ticketed for it. You don't have that issue with gas products. Another big thing for a lot of customers is aesthetic options. So, wood stoves, they haven't changed much as far as the appearances of them. A little bit, minor tweaks. Pellet stoves, frankly, I think are just ugly. They look like furnaces. The flames don't look natural. They're burning so fast. They're very efficient, but they just don't look very traditional. Gas inserts, they get better every year as far as how realistic they look. The one we're looking at now is just your typical kind of burner under the log look. These newer ones, you'll see it looks like the flame is coming out of the log, a little more natural looking. But the other thing is the interior. So you're gonna have multiple options for the interior, different log styles, stuff like that. So you have a lot more customization you can do aesthetically with the gas inserts. So those are just some of the pros. The cons are going to be, you're at the mercy of gas prices. So depending on where you live, how many BTUs the insert's going to be will determine how much you're going to pay to run these things. You're going to have the same issue with your HVAC system though. So it's kind of a con, but I mean, if you're using your HVAC system, probably not so much. You're going to have some installation costs. So if you have a fireplace now with no gas line in it, no electrical nearby, you're going to pay a plumber, an electrician to pull in gas and power so you can install the gas insert. And then the final thing is your upfront costs. So these inserts, we're in 2025 right now, they're going to range anywhere from about 4,000 to north of 10,000 for a reliable gas insert. So you got some costs involved with that. When you compare that with the wood, other products, you're buying pellets for pellet stoves. If you're buying wood keeps getting more and more expensive too. So it just depends on those prices of your fuel. An ideal situation for a wood burner is if you have a large piece of property and you have plenty of wood to feed it, and then that's going to be a pro over a gas insert because you have basically free fuel at that point. But most people, that's not the case. So anyways, hope this helped. If you're interested in these products and you live in the Bay Area in California, come check us out at Capo Fireside in Concord. We'll take care of you.